Hello and welcome to the Empowered Learning Podcast. This is your host, Andy Bennett. On today's episode, we welcome Kassy Lopez-Sonchar. Dr. Kassy is a veteran educator with 20 plus years of experience, has collaborated with multiple tribes and incorporated Indigenous practices into the Special Olympics. She currently serves as a professor at Pikes Peak State College and recently founded her own early childhood consultation company. Welcome, my dear friend, Dr. Kassy.
Hey, Kassy, how are you?
Hey, Andy, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good. It's so good to reconnect with you. It's been a minute since we got to spend any more than like 5 minutes just saying, hey, how's it going? How's the family? Right. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Me too.
Very good. So lots of things that we're going to dive into here in a little bit. But before we get into all of the fun things that you're working on now and kind of some just fun conversation topics here, tell a little bit for our listeners, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, kind of how you got into education, kind of your path thus far, and some of your passions around that.
Well, fun time. So
Yes.
I feel like my gift is to be a teacher. Ever since I was little, I was a teacher at home. My sister is 5 years younger than me, and she and her friends were always my students. She did not have her own bedroom when she was younger. She had to share her bedroom with me because her bedroom became my classroom.
There you go.
Yeah, her friends loved summertime when I was walking around in my teacher shoes, high heels, and my dad brought home desks from the school he was working at, had a chalkboard. Yep, they had recess time in the backyard. They loved it.
That's hilarious.
Once they started rejecting me, I had to move towards stuffed animals being my students.
Good while it lasted.
Yeah, all good. So with that, my passion's always been in education. Followed through college, I went and got my bachelor's degree in child psychology and early childhood education. So really focusing on birth to 8 years old. Then got my teaching license in Colorado for grades pre-K through third grade, and thought I would never teach beyond preschool. My first teaching job was in a second grade classroom. Those are big kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I taught in Dolores, Colorado for 8 years in second grade before moving over into Cortez, Colorado, teaching for, I don't know, quite a few years, 8 years there.
Yeah.
That's where I got to meet you and teach some third grade there together.
You were teaching buddies. That was fun times for sure.
Fun times, third grade. Woohoo. Then my calling really was to go work for the tribal nation, Ute Mountain Ute Tribal Nation, as the director of early childhood education. And that just led me to so many more opportunities.
Right. Good for you.
Yeah. Got my master's in literacy, language, and culture through all this. And then it took me 8 years to complete my doctorate. And I'm not even I can't even do surgery on people after all those years.
Got gypped, huh?
Right. But yeah, so my doctorate is in psychology with that emphasis in cognition and instruction. So I'm just fascinated with how the brain is wired and how it works and what we can do to help others learn.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So super fun. Appreciate the background there. And again, I've always admired and appreciated how driven you are. I mean, we had a blast in third grade, but I knew you had, bigger things in store for you in the future, and you've just been very driven, got your master's, like you said, got your doctorate degree, and realized that, as much as you may have liked to have stayed in Cortez, that your calling was going to take you past our little school district here. So we haven't been, super as close as we were in third grade, but I've always admired, you from afar. We've been friends for a long time. So, kudos to you for just going out there and getting it and just making a difference in so many kids' lives. I've always admired your hustle and your drive for that. So I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Andy. I'm proud of you. Look at you.
Yeah, look at us. Look at us go.
Yeah.
Too fun. So And I don't know if you mentioned this before. I'm looking at your bio here. You're also I think currently right now, a professor, yes, at a college?
I am. I am an
Okay.
early childhood education professor here at Pikes
Okay.
Peak State College in
Nice.
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Very
And I
cool.
also teach some psychology courses. So,
Excellent.
yeah,
Very
I have no downtime.
I can't imagine that you do. Can't imagine that you do. And our kiddos are about your son's a little bit older than mine, and but your daughter is the same age as my oldest son, and we had some fun theater times together with our kiddos and that kind of stuff. And I know that she's doing phenomenal things there up in Colorado Springs. So I'm sure you're super proud of her.
Pretty proud of her. She's going to be Miss Peacock in the Clue
Oh, the
production
Clue, I
coming
love
up
it.
in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's so much fun. Well, you've done good. Your kiddos are awesome kids, and she's a phenomenal young lady. So super proud of you for that. So, tell us a little bit. You mentioned, at when you were in Cortez that you kind of felt a calling to work with the tribes, and looking at your bio, you've had a couple different career paths that have kind of taken you into working with Indigenous tribes and folks and that kind of stuff. So I guess tell me about where did that passion come from, and why did you feel like that was a calling for you?
Great question, Andy. In our small school district, a big population are tribal students, Navajo and Ute Mountain Ute.
Right.
So I always had that awareness of, hey, what are we doing to best meet these students who
Right.
do not live within the community? They travel 11, 12 miles every day on the school bus to come to our school. And that brought me into really living in that community as the early childhood education director. Through that, I saw the need. I had an interest in, hey, why are our Indigenous students, why are our tribal students going into kindergarten, into schools 5 years behind their peers?
Wow.
There's school readiness. They are, what is this? Why is this happening? So that really led me into my dissertation research. Got some previous parents, got some data from tests from the school district, preschool attendance, just really seeing, hey, what was their preschool attendance like? Was it quality?
Right.
And did it matter how much time they spent at preschool or how often they attended?
Right.
So maybe they went to school 3 times a week for only 2 hours, or they went 5 times a week for 40 hours a week.
Right.
My research really found that it didn't matter how many days a week they attended, but how much time they spent.
Interesting.
So those children who had that time within the classroom scored higher on their kindergarten assessments in the beginning of the school year, showing their kindergarten readiness skills.
That's awesome. What were some other takeaways? Again, like you mentioned before, we taught at a school that was on the south side of town that was the closest to the reservation. So we did get a lot of kiddos there. Awesome kids, awesome families coming up from Toyoak. What were, I guess, your other takeaways? You've done a lot of research. Obviously, you've been very passionate about this. What are some other things that you've been made aware of that as you continue on in this early childhood professorship? What are some things that you were trying to give to the next generation of teachers to make them aware of to better serve those kiddos?
Yeah, so truly, Andy, the overall takeaway that I've found in all the work that I'm doing is that we need to be culturally responsive.
Okay.
Know who our students are. It's all about relationships, 100% about relationships. Right. And without that positive relationship, there's not going to be a common ground of understanding. So I'm really big on cultural responsive training. When I moved on to Central Consolidated School District on the Navajo Nation, I was the director of curriculum instruction for the school district. And I was in awe with some of the curriculum in the higher grades, secondary. We'd get their history books out. We're in Navajo Nation. Students are sitting in the classroom. There are more than 20 recognized tribal nations in New Mexico.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
I didn't know that until I started working there. I opened up that history book, and the students, our Navajo students, are learning about the Navajo history. There's one paragraph in the whole history book for New Mexico, on New Mexico history, about the Navajo, and it just included the code talkers and the Trail of Tears.
Right.
And that was it.
Wow.
So moving forward, this, has really just really highlighted that, we often look over our Indigenous communities. They are not a population that is recognized as much as other students just across the nation. It's historically, it's historically found. You can't argue it.
Right.
You can try, but you can't.
Right. So I know that your passion has always been early childhood. Like you said, second and third grade was a stretch, for your comfort level. You did a phenomenal job, by the way. But it sounds like after that, you kind of returned back to that early childhood, doing stuff in the tribes there. And then I see like the Head Start programs. I know that, towards, just the many meanderings of our career journeys. I remember one piece of that was all about Head Start programs, specifically in Alaska. So tell us about similarities, differences, some big aha moments with working up in Alaska.
Yeah, so Andy, just really quick, I also have my side consultation, which I had to open up my own consultation because of the mental health needs after COVID.
Wow, okay.
I am an early childhood mental health consultant. Okay. I'm certified across the nation. And that came about because after COVID, our preschool children are entering kindergarten with zero exposure to early learning in a structured environment. So that is a big push I have, a passion that I have is for that mental health. And it truly starts in early childhood. So I do provide a lot of early childhood mental health consultation within preschool programs through third grade. Not only, it's mainly working with the adults, the adults in the child's life, because children have almost zero control in their lives. It's the adults who provide the guidance. So that's what I'm there to support. That works into the curriculum and my stance on collaboration. And this brought me into my experience with tribal nations and working within education, curriculum development. The doors open, just God provides. I didn't even have a choice. Special Olympics pretty much just kind of landed in my lap as an opportunity to indigenize the Special Olympics young athletes curriculum. So young athletes is it focuses on children ages 2 to 7, where Special Olympics is for children 8 and beyond. Okay. So we're looking at, hey, we want to get this into tribal nations. We know that we need to build inclusive practices for all children. And again, as I've shared before, our Indigenous communities are often overlooked within a lot of curriculum. We want to make it appropriate. So how can we indigenize this? So I've been working with 3 tribal nations with young athletes, Cook Inlet Native Head Start in Alaska, the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe in Minnesota, and I just returned from a trip to the Nisqually Tribe Head Start in Nisqually, Washington State.
Okay. Very cool.
So with those, this is amazing. So I hope other people will want to look at this, and teachers, PE teachers, this is free. It's free.
And now, a brief commercial from today's sponsor. Hey guys, Andy Bennett's owner and president of Interactive Learning. Our awesome little company has been around for close to 20 years now, and our core purpose and mission is to empower the future of education with innovative solutions through engaging technologies and leadership programs. We are blessed to work with a wide range of markets, including K-12, trades, corporate, and government. Interactive Learning is also proud to serve our nation's JROTC programs with over 3,000 units and 500,000 cadets. For our podcast listeners today, we have a special offer just for you. It's called our Class Tech Discovery Session. This is incredibly helpful for teachers, administrators, tech personnel, really anybody involved in helping students learn with technology. Here's what you get with the Class Tech Discovery Session. It starts with a short Zoom call. We'll talk about your class needs, your wants, desires, really your class wish list of ed tech. Then we'll touch on your timelines and budgets, plus any constraints that your district might be facing. Next, we'll look at new tech and new solutions, the latest and greatest out there that might be applicable to you and your district. And if you're interested, we'll even demonstrate these crazy cool, cutting-edge technologies just for you. Finally, we'll give you an idea of costs and professional development and how we and our team will support you moving forward. Again, that is Interactive Learning's Class Tech Discovery Session. Request your session now by texting Discovery to 970-739-2229 or emailing Discovery to andy@intlrn.com. Request your school's highly informative Class Tech Discovery Session today. And now, back to the Empowered Learning Podcast.
Young Athletes is a free program that you can tap into. So it's on inclusive practices. It's building in your movement. So there's games like, we're going to start with throwing the scarf up and catching it on our foot. We're going to play. It's really about play. It's play. Play is how we learn. So yeah, it is absolutely free. It includes all your equipment. There's games. There's partnerships with families because we know relationships are so important. And I learned this through this work that Special Olympics and Head Start actually have a very strong collaborative partnership.
Cool.
Because, Andy, get this, Eunice Kennedy, she is the founder of Special Olympics. She started that. And her husband, Mr. Shriver, I can't think of his first name, Sergeant, he was a sergeant. Sergeant Shriver was the founder of Head Start. So
interesting.
Yeah, so they really just go together. So indigenizing this work is getting back to that language, building in the language, because a lot of most of our tribal nations are losing their language and they're trying to revitalize it, to bring it back and to sustain it. So through this, I want to show it to you sometime, just the work that's being done. But each school is able to say, hey, within our community, these are our tribal games. These are our traditional tribal games that we play. And then we take that, they take it, I guide them into what are some skills that are in Special Olympics young athletes that will support playing the traditional tribal game. So it may be a kicking game. Well, in young athletes, there are skill games that you can play that help build up your skills so that they can be successful when playing their traditional game.
Right.
It's amazing stuff. So I'm really super engaged with this. I'm loving it. Just the partnership, the play, learning through play. Fred Rogers is one of my favorite quotes ever. And, he just says, play gives children the chance to practice what they are learning.
I love that. Practice what you're learning. That's really cool. I have to just, before we jump into something else, I have to just mention this. I'm not sure if you were aware that I did this. It was such a small scale comparatively. I'm not trying to compare your work and my work, but just kind of a cool synergy here. I'm sure it was probably when we were working together at Mesa. I worked a summer up in Mesa Verde and did the interpretive ranger program. And that was exactly what my piece was I was the teacher, right? So when kids, families came through the museum there, I would kind of pull them aside and we would play traditional tribal games and we'd give them a little mini lesson for that before they went on to the thing. So how did we not know this? I could have used.
How did we not know this? We need to talk more though. I want to know more. Right? Like you can use young athletes for just,
there you go.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So this is pretty special, groundbreaking work. It doesn't exist. So I'm helping create something that doesn't exist. And that's just, woo, it's amazing.
That's pretty fun. That's pretty fun. So let's dive into to leadership. Obviously, there's so many different angles, and I love that. And well, this sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. I positioned empowered learning to kind of be something where we could talk specific education, but we could also talk leadership in a business world. So that's kind of the space that I try to play in. So you've obviously worked with a lot of different organizations. You are now a leader in that space because you are teaching, teachers on how to do this kind of stuff. But what are some things in your path thus far that you've learned along the ways of what makes a good leader? What do you strive to be as a leader, and what are you trying to instill in your students leadership wise?
Yeah, so preparing our future teachers, right, is a very big deal. So leadership really, I mean, as I shared before, Andy, everything's based on relationships.
Right.
So great leaders are able to build positive relationships. Leaders who are successful do not do all the work. They are a team member. They empower their team. So you're only as good as you allow your team to be.
Right.
I really stand firm on that. I share that with, future preschool directors and principals. Let your team know that you value them.
Right.
And that you trust them and that you want them to be part of decision making.
Right. I love that. Share decision making and build trust. I think that's it sounds so simple, but unfortunately you and I, I'm sure, have been in settings where neither of those things happened. There was not decision making being shared or any trust from top to bottom or vice versa. So very, very sad that is the trace, that is the case.
It's a sad truth. And who likes to be told what to do, right?
Right.
None of us like to be told this is what you have to do. We need to be more, leadership is more of a facilitator and a guide. So if you don't have that, it's not a healthy work environment. And it leads many educators to leave the field, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. Well, guilty.
Yeah.
Different way to have left the field. Right. But yeah, it's very sad. I mean, it's how many good, amazing educators do school districts lose every year for a variety of reasons, right? I mean, pay is the one that everybody jumps on, but when they're not supported, when they're not trusted, when I think support goes into that, and there's so many different levels of what does it look like to support your teachers. We could spend an entire hour just talking about what makes that happen or not.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So I would love to hear more about your new business. So I want to make sure that I'm saying this right. A little Sass early childhood consultation. I feel like I'm trying to be hood or something like that. Well, it's not like Lil John. It's like a little Sass. So does not surprise me. You've had more than enough Sass for a while. So you're probably tamping it down just a little bit. So tell me about your company and what you're doing there.
Thanks, Andy.
I got you. Nothing but love.
My grandmother gave me the nickname Sassy Kassy when I was just a little girl.
I love it.
And it's just stuck with me. And before she passed, she was the only one that I would call me Sassy. And now I kind of I'm possessing it. Like that is who I am.
There you go.
And with, in leadership, we also need to have fun.
Right.
It shows that you are vulnerable, that you are, if you're able to laugh with your fellow employees, your colleagues, with, those who are working for you and with you, if you're able to laugh, it gives you that, it gives everyone that comfort of, hey, you're part of us. We're a team. I can laugh at myself. Right. And that is where I got a little sass, because in all my supports, I bring a little sass. You're going to leave with some laughter, because you can't make up the stuff that happens in early childhood or in life, right? Like prior to this, I get on and my laptop decides to do an update. Right. So I can either laugh or cry about it. And I kind of did a little bit of both, because that's why. But I started, I wasn't practicing early childhood consultation here in Colorado Springs with an organization, and they were limiting me to only 3 sites. And I said, wow, there's so much more of a need within this community across the nation than just these 3 preschool programs. That really led me into saying, I can do this on my own, right? Who's going to tell me what to do? I'm going to be my own boss.
I sense a little sass there. I mean, what? Crazy, right?
Yeah, no one's going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So that's what led me into opening up my own practice. So with that, I am working with teachers, directors, just families overall, individual child cases where there are students who are having some struggles, or parents. It really comes down to the parents who are having some challenging behaviors with their children, right? And so providing that support here in Colorado Springs, and also nationally. So I've been to Albuquerque recently. I presented at the Rocky Mountain Early Childhood Conference last month, and I do a lot with leadership. So I do like leading with laughter. We've got to laugh, right? So we're getting down, and I talk about the importance of play. I think as adults and as leaders, we forget the importance of play. That it's okay to play. Play is a higher form of thinking. It really is. So letting down our guard. So in my sessions, you'll see a beach ball being hit around, and you're going to see people laughing. And I'll tell you what, some of those teachers, men and women, will get up, and their background in volleyball, I don't know what comes out of them. They just get possessed like they're in high school again, but boom, they're slamming that beach ball at each other, and people are rolling on the floor laughing. And that's what I wish I would have had in my experience with leadership. It's based on a relationship. If you're able to laugh with each other, you're releasing those chemicals in your brain, those happy chemicals. And through those release of chemicals in your brain is how positive relationships are built. So I do a lot of team building and a lot of just classroom teaching practices that really benefit everyone. If we go in with the focus on the kids, our staff are mentally healthy and prepared and feel accepted in that working environment, you're not going to lose employees. We need to provide a happy workplace. And it's okay to laugh.
I love it. Well, that's so cool. I'm so happy for you. I wish you nothing but incredible success with that. Like I said before, I know that you are a driven young, we're going to say that we're young, right? We're just going to go with that.
I'm young.
Yes, we're a driven young, you are a driven young lady.
I'm still 24, Andy.
There you
I can't believe we have
I knew that. I knew that.
24.
Awesome. Well, I'm so happy for you, and I appreciate you spending a little bit of time despite the technical little glitch at the beginning. It's all good. Like I said, it's just, 2 friends talking here. So I appreciate the time, and it's also always great to talk to you. We will have to do this much more often than once every however many years it's been.
I agree. Thank you for this opportunity.
You bet. So we're going to end with our 3 key questions. All of our guests answer the same 3 questions. So wanted to give you some time to kind of think through these. So question number 1, Kassy, is who is the leader that you most admire and try to emulate?
Well, come on now, Andy. That is my Lord and Savior, right?
There you go.
That's my Lord and Savior. Yeah, that's, and Colossians 3:17, it truly is one of my favorites because it reminds me at the end of everything that I do, it says, and whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. And so in everything that I'm doing, I want to make sure that I'm rest in the peace of knowing that my life's already planned out for me, that what I'm doing, and I need to just trust this, so my main leader. And then I love I love Fred Rogers. I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
Mr. Rogers, he is all about the importance of play.
Yes.
Right. And I shared that. And, we also have to remember that children practice what they're learning through their play. Right. So as the adults who are the role models, we need to be cognizant of how we are behaving in front of our children, because they are going to show that in their play.
Yep. Very good. All right, question number 2 for you. What learning? I know that you are a lifelong learner. I know that you're teaching other people, all the life lessons that you've had along the way, but I'm sure that you are continuing to add to your arsenal of awesome information. But looking over the last year or so, what learning has most impacted you?
Learning, honestly, that's most impacted me is through that inclusive practices. I always felt like, hey, I'm an inclusive instructor. I'm an inclusive leader, but having this role as a consultant with Special Olympics has really opened my eyes to the word inclusive.
Gotcha.
And being able to move that into including children from all cultural backgrounds is as important as well. So that's what has had the most impact on me in my career this past year.
Love it. All right, and the last one, we work up to this one. How would you, for all of your teachers right now, for your kids moving forward, grandkids down the road, how would you empower learning for future generations?
Well, just knowing that true learning only comes by making those mistakes and reflecting on them and improving. So I want all learners to know that it's okay to make mistakes, because without those mistakes, learning won't happen.
Right. Very true.
So take those risks.
There you go. I like it. Perfect.
And read.
Yes.
And play.
I'm running out of room, Kassy. You got to wrap it up here. Read, play, anything else? I'm kidding. I love it.
Eat.
So fun. Well, Kassy, thank you so much for spending some time with me. It is always a pleasure to chat with you, and I hope that we can reconnect. Actually, like legitimately, I was just calling schools up in your area. I'm coming to Denver next week, so maybe we can coordinate a quick lunch or a coffee or something like that on my trip.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Kassy. Have a great day.
Great to see you, Andy.
You
as well. Bye.